Welcome back to the channel. Today, we bring you a heartwarming Old West story set in 1880s America. Every Friday, a lonely cowboy rode into town and bought fresh flowers, but no one knew who they were for. For years, the entire town wondered about his secret, until one simple question uncovered a love story so powerful that it moved everyone to tears. If you enjoy emotional Western stories filled with love, loyalty, and unforgettable endings, don't forget to like this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to the channel for more amazing stories every week. Now, without any further delay, let's get started. The year was 1884, and the winds of the Kansas prairie carried the scent of fresh grass across the open frontier. Just outside the growing town of Abilene, a weathered cowboy named Elias Turner lived alone in a small wooden cabin surrounded by endless fields and grazing cattle. His ranch was modest, his horse was growing old, and the lines upon his face told stories of long trails, bitter winters, and hard-earned victories. Though respected by every rancher in the county, Elias rarely spoke more than a few words. He had no family nearby, no children running through his yard, and no visitors except the occasional ranch hand delivering supplies. Most people simply called him the lonely cowboy. Every Friday morning, no matter the weather, Elias saddled his faithful chestnut horse and began the long ride into town. Whether rain soaked the trails or dust storms swept across the plains, he never missed a single Friday. The townsfolk had grown used to seeing him arrive just before noon, tie his horse outside the general store, purchase a few simple groceries, and then walk slowly toward the little flower shop on Main Street. The flower shop belonged to an elderly widow, Mrs. Eleanor Brooks, who greeted every customer with kindness. She noticed that Elias always chose the same flowers, a bundle of fresh white lilies mixed with wild prairie roses. He never asked the price, never tried to bargain, and always paid with carefully folded silver coins he kept in a worn leather pouch. Once the flowers were wrapped in brown paper and tied with twine, he would gently hold them as though they were more valuable than gold. The people of Abilene often whispered among themselves. Some believed the cowboy had a secret sweetheart living on a distant ranch. Others claimed he visited a hidden family no one knew about. A few even joked that an old cowboy had no business buying flowers every single week. Yet Elias never answered their questions. He simply tipped his hat, offered a quiet, "much obliged," and rode away before anyone could stop him. As the years passed, the mystery only deepened. New families arrived, children grew into adults, and businesses changed hands. But one thing never changed. Every Friday, the lonely cowboy bought flowers. One warm afternoon, after watching him repeat the same quiet ritual for countless weeks, the young assistant working in the flower shop finally gathered enough courage to ask the question everyone in town had wondered for years. "Mr. Turner," she said gently as she handed him the bouquet, "if you don't mind me asking, who are these beautiful flowers for?" Elias looked down at the lilies in his hands. His weathered face remained calm, but for the first time in many years, his eyes filled with a sadness that words could barely explain. For a long moment, Elias said nothing. The flower shop grew quiet, and even the sounds of wagons rolling down Main Street seemed to fade away. He held the bouquet gently in his rough hands before lifting his eyes toward the young florist. "They're for my wife, Mary," he said softly. "She left this world 12 years ago." The young woman lowered her head, fearing she had asked something too personal. But Elias simply smiled, a smile filled with love rather than sorrow. "When we were married," he continued, "Mary planted wild roses beside our cabin. Every Friday I'd bring her flowers after selling cattle in town. She used to say that flowers reminded her even the hardest land could grow something beautiful. Before she passed from the fever, she made me promise one thing, that I'd never let my heart become as empty as the prairie in winter." With the bouquet resting across his saddle, Elias invited the florist to ride with him if she wished to know the rest of the story. Curious and deeply moved, she accepted. They followed a narrow trail beyond the ranches until they reached a quiet hill overlooking the endless Kansas grasslands. Beneath a large oak tree stood a simple wooden cross with the name Mary Turner carved by hand. Elias knelt beside the grave and carefully laid the white lilies and prairie roses upon the fresh green grass. "I come here every Friday," he whispered. "I tell her about the calves that were born, the storms that passed, the neighbors I met, and the sunsets she would have loved. A promise isn't meant to end because someone is gone." The young florist felt tears gather in her eyes. She had always believed flowers were gifts for the living, yet here they had become a symbol of faithfulness that neither time nor death could erase. From that day forward, she always prepared the finest bouquet before Elias arrived, making sure the freshest lilies and brightest roses were waiting for him. She never charged him full price again, though he always tried to pay. Years later, when the old cowboy's faithful horse returned to town without its rider, the people of Abilene understood what had happened. The florist carried one final bouquet to the hill beneath the oak tree. She placed it beside the two simple graves that now rested together and whispered, "She isn't waiting alone anymore." From then on, every Friday, someone from the town left fresh flowers there, ensuring the love story of Elias and Mary Turner would never be forgotten.